In this video, we're going to review a student paper. The notes to the right explain what's going on in the paper. Do not use the header feature for the header. I know it sounds weird, but don't do it. With the header, if you use the header feature, it puts the header on all the pages. You don't want that. You want your header only on the first page. So you just insert this into the document. Your name, my name, or the instructor's name, I should say. Title of the class and the date. Notice the style of the date, day of the month first. Usually it's best to put the date due, month, and the year. Okay. Your name goes next to the page number on the upper right, and here are the instructions how to do that in Microsoft Word. Remember, you are submitting your papers in Microsoft Word. You go to Insert, you choose Page Number. Why is it not working? It's because I already did it. You go Insert, choose Page Number, choose upper left, and then go ahead and type your name in there. Next, we have title of the paper is centered. Do not use a fancy font, no underlining, no quotation marks, and avoid the temptation to make it fancy. Just keep the font consistent throughout the paper. And the font I'm using is Arial 12 point. You can also use Times New Roman or New Courier New. Here, paragraphs are indicated by indentation. Do not use the block format. That is the block format. We don't do that in MLA format. We got a tab to indicate our paragraphs. Our first bit of information here that came from a source, and that's the average cost of a video game. That came from someone named Kramer. Okay. That's in parentheses. We call that a parenthetical citation. Do not be afraid of the word parenthetical. It's just parentheses with a fancy ending on it. Now, this highlighting is for demonstration purposes only. Please do not put any highlighting in your final draft of your paper. Kramer is the name of the source, and we scroll down to the Works Cited page, and there we see Kate Kramer. And that's all the publication information. In another video, I'm going to explain what all this is. Kate Kramer. Let's go back to our introduction. Thesis statement. Thesis statement is the last sentence of the introduction in MLA format. With the ever-increasing popularity of gaming and the debatable influence of advertising, all consumers need to be aware of advertising in video games. Notice that this thesis statement is not argumentative, but we can see how we can turn it into an argumentative paper later on. That's what we're going to do with the next paper. So we can argue against advertising to children. We could advocate for banning advertising to teenagers, banning advertising in the schools, or just banning advertising in video games. There's different places we can go with this. So the next paragraph, titles of books go in italics. Also, when we first mention an author, we use both the first and the last name, and after that, we just refer to the author as Quartermaine. And if we look, I highlighted that name in green, and here is the publication, Alicia Quartermaine. Here's all the publication information. And also, I'll take this opportunity to point out, and I will repeat it later, that the works cited entries go in alphabetical order. Okay. According to Quartermaine quote, and then we have the page number. This right here is called the signal phrase. Excuse me. This is called the signal phrase. It introduces the quote, And here we have the page number. We do not need to add the author's name to the page number because it's right here. It introduces the quote, so we don't need to oversight our papers. Okay. Also, I wanted to point out that this quote is the opinion of an authority. So that's one of the elements of argument. That's what we're looking for. When we're going through our sources, we're looking for facts, we're looking for statistics, we're looking for opinions of authority. That's why in our in-class exercises, I have you identifying those features in your sources as practice. Next, we have Natalie Woodlawn states. That's another signal phrase. Notice I don't keep pointing out, or the writer, I should say, I did not write this as a student paper. It's according to, and Natalie Woodlawn states. We don't keep using the same signal phrase, according to, according to, according to. We need to vary our signal phrases. So we have a quote, and this quote is statistics. So we have statistics from an authority. And notice it says quoted in the effect of advertising in children and adolescents. So two things you need to know here. When there is no author for an article, you cite it by using the title of the article, and titles of articles go in quotation marks, not italics. Also, Natalie Woodlawn was interviewed in this article, so we say quoted in. If we don't say quoted in, then the reader is looking for Natalie Woodlawn on the works cited page, but this person isn't going to be there because Natalie Woodlawn was quoted in this article. Okay, very important to know that. And here we show a transition to the next paragraph. Marketers have several strategies to persuade young consumers. So that's linking this paragraph to the next paragraph that's going to be on strategies. Okay. And here we have another statistic and the citation, video game marketing. I don't know if you can see that, it's in a really dark pink. And then there's the video game marketing. Okay, easy to find. Well, because I highlighted it, but also because it's in alphabetical order. Okay. More of the same. I don't need to keep repeating too much information. Again, there's no author for this article, so it's cited by the title of the article. Here's something new. Quotes more than 4 lines. Quotes more than 4 lines are considered long quotes and are introduced with a signal phrase and a colon, and they are formatted differently. So again, introduced using a signal phrase. Okay, Will Kasevich says that. And then it's formatted differently. We have the colon here, and all the lines are indented 1 tab equal to this. Okay, all the lines are indented 1 tab. And the period goes before the parenthetical citations. And the other examples with the shorter quotes or shorter quotes and citing paraphrases, the period goes after the parenthetical citation. For the long quotes, it goes before. Don't ask me why. I don't make up the rules. Just note that. Okay. Here, this information is paraphrased. There's no quote, but the writer, the student, put the information in his own words. So he still needs to cite the source. Whenever you get information from a source, you need to give them credit, even if you put that information in your own words. So here we have Quartermaine and the page number 150. Because Quartermaine's name doesn't appear in here, we remind the reader where that Quartermaine is the source. Okay. This information corroborates the information from the previous paragraph from Quartermaine, but it doesn't repeat it. And here we have an opinion of an authority, Feldina Woodley. And Feldina Woodley is quoted in the Quartermaine as well. So we don't want to be looking for Feldina Woodley on the works cited page. We're going to be looking at Quartermaine. And here I give an example of basic paragraph structure. It's what we call a quote sandwich. So you add your own discussion, okay, that leads to the quote here. And then you cite the quote, and then you continue your discussion here. And I'm pointing out here, this information is paraphrased, but it's cited again, game marketing. Okay. Now let's see. This idea, these solutions, these last two paragraphs are solutions that kind of lean towards an argument, but you could see where the student is already thinking ahead and offering solutions. You probably shouldn't do that in the first paper, but sometimes we can't help ourselves. You won't be punished for it. So that's what's happening here. These are the students' own ideas, already proposing some type of solutions that may or may not be carried forth with the next argumentative paper, and there's no citations there. Now here's information on the works cited list. The title of your works cited page, same thing as the title of your paper. You center it and no fancy fonts, and don't make it large or bold, or don't do anything to it. Just keep the font consistent, 12 throughout. Works cited entries are in alphabetical order. Whatever the source is listed by on this page is what the source is cited by in the text of the paper. Notice that the second and additional lines of entries are indented. This is called a hanging indentation. And then I give you instructions how to do a hanging indentation. And I will show you. Let's do this one together. Okay, so you've typed your information. Now we need that second line indented. So what you do is you highlight your text, you go to paragraph, under indentation, you choose hanging, make sure your line spacing is double, click OK. Why didn't it do it? Well, when it doesn't work at the end, put in a hard enter and tab it, and that'll do it. Maybe I'll show you in another one. It works sometimes, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes when we cut and paste our publication information, we pick up these codes that get transferred over to our paper. So you have to know how to work your way around the codes. Okay. I think that's it.